Welcome to Seat Time, everybody, the off-road show that brings you all the results, news, and online shenanigans that make being online a good time. We'd like to say thank you to Fly Racing for their support of Seat Time. Please go check them out at flyracing.com. .102, just right off the bat, obviously it sounds like I swallowed a rock and it fell in there, and then I decided to chew on glass and gargle with that for a little bit. So it's what it is. I'm going to try to be my fun, energetic self, but obviously I'm a little under the weather right now. So suck it, Zach. Huberty, you could take that to the pipe and smoke it or whatever, some little fun thing. So episode 102, it's Tuesday night, again in Texas here, the fine city of McKinney, in the Seat Time studio, if you will. The weather is fantastic. I'll probably say that for about another 2 weeks, and then it's just going to be so damn cold that I'm going to be done because our fall only lasts about a month in Texas. It is just stupid. It's ridiculous, and it makes me feel unhappy about those situations. So, besides me being under the weather, we just got done, the ISDE just got done over in Italy. The fun part about that is we have all kinds of awesome guests that we're going to talk to today on our episode, and then as well next week we're going to have a couple more guys on from Team USA that competed to be able to give us their experiences. Our first guest for this evening is going to be Nick Fahringer, and then we're going to have Taylor Robert on, so it's going to be a great time talking with these guys. These are veterans, if you will, of being on Seat Time, so they know to expect the most interesting things that they can come across on the internet, and that's the way we like to do it. Of course, if you've never tuned in before, you're watching and or listening to Seat Time, you can find us at seattime.co is the website. Of course, we're on Twitter, on Facebook, all the fun places. You can search for us on YouTube, on Instagram, all of those fantastic social media sites. And we, of course, have to give a big thankful shout-out to Fly Racing, Powersport Graphics, and to Fast Company for all being very large supporters of Seat Time. It's great that we have Fast Company coming on as a supporter of Seat Time. You can find them at fastco.com. Very confusing, but I'm going to go with it. That's okay. They're very renowned for their flex bars and for their spoke torque wrenches. Obviously, we could talk about that a little bit more in the show, but really appreciate them being on, and it's going to be a fun time. So, Mr. Nick Fahringer, as we like to start off this show, how is your evening going, kind sir?
It's going good. A little bit slow from jet lag. I was 24 hours of traveling and flying from Italy yesterday. So,
well, what was you guys were on Sardinia, which is an island off the coast of Italy. So tell me about what your travel was like just to even get to and from the island.
It wasn't too terrible. I took a commuter flight from Ohio down to Athens, Georgia, and then there I got on my flight that took me all the way across the ocean to Rome. That was about a 9-hour flight. And then I had an 8-hour layover in Rome, which was pretty awesome. Got to get my feet wet in the Italian language and food situation. And then from there, it was a little airplane ride from Rome to Sardinia, which a lot of the trophy team was on our airplane. I heard a lot of commotion in the back. It turns out, I guess one of the engines kind of caught on fire a little bit during our flight and cut out for a minute. So.
And that was on the way in? Yeah.
So
that's pretty spectacular.
There's a good chance that half of Team USA might not have even made it.
Man, that's funny too, because they were talking about how you guys were going to have to get on ferries and all that stuff, but you guys found a prop job to get you over there. That's smart thinking. I like that. That's using ingenuity. That's what everybody should do. So, dude, congratulations on a very fantastic finish. You were on the Wellard Club Team. You guys got second overall in the club teams. You were, third in the C3 class. And outright, you did really well in the overall outright with the club members. You had a pretty, I would say, fantastic ISDE. How do you look at it?
Yeah, I feel pretty good about it. Obviously, getting second in the club division is pretty good. I mean, every country, tries to send their best group of riders to be on those teams, and I think we had a real solid team with, Ryan Sipes was a newbie. He's proven to be really fast, and Jimmy Jarrett's really fast and has a veteran track record, and it's not my first rodeo either, so I was pumped to have a good group of guys, and everybody rode solid, and I felt real happy with having a consistent week. I mean, it wasn't completely problem free, but despite having some issues, I was still up there every day. So
Yeah. Well, go give us some a little bit of headway into what some of those issues were that you were having.
well, day one I was number like 927, which being in the C3 class, that's the last class of the day to start on day one, and then I was in the very back of that group. So nearly 600 riders got to ride all the special tests before I got there. And the soil there was so dry and crumbly, it was just a dust bowl, like right off the get-go, passing half a dozen riders per special test. And not to mention, I started at 11 a.m. and didn't finish till 6 p.m. So it was just kind of a long, gnarly day. But fortunately, I did good enough to get seated a lot further ahead of the pack for day two, which we rode the same course as day one. So I got to see the difference in like special test times after being dead last to first club guy, and it was definitely, you could go faster when you weren't passing half a dozen dudes.
Yeah. Was it really? How was the passing situation there? I know, like say, like we'll do some of the national enduros. You can kind of hoot and holler one or two turns ahead, and people know that you're coming. Was that? I mean, obviously dust is going to play into that a lot, but how were the people, the other riders in general, when it came to passing?
You know, it's definitely a little different when you're passing somebody in a special test because they're shorter. They're usually wide enough to pass. So because everybody's so competitive, I mean, sometimes you'll get a guy that'll move over, but other times you got to earn it before they let you, have it. Like you got to get beside them and then they'll let off. But really, all the tests were pretty fast and easy, and we could have drove our Fiat 500 around most of them. So, dust was just the biggest thing. It was the worst dust I think any other guys have ever really had to deal with. So.
Yeah, the pictures, that guys like Shan Moore and Mark, and then Jason Hooper with his videos, all those guys putting that stuff up daily. It looked like those first 3 days were just horrible and horrendous. So starting in the back, passing all those people, obviously must have been tough. What was there any trick to it? I mean, or is it just you kind of have to know the special tests, know kind of which way you're going, and just pray you're not about to run somebody over?
Yeah, there is a trick to it. I'm pretty sure we walked like 45 miles the week before the race. The whole trophy team and some of us like Wellard guys and some of the more serious club riders, we all got together and we walked every single special test 1, 2, 3 times. So that's something that, say, like Kirk Caselli is real good at. Is he always says he remembers every special test in detail, and I was trying to learn from that and just at least remember some of them to some extent. And there was two tests I felt like I had memorized, and I think it helped because when you fly up behind somebody in the dust, I mean, you got to get around them or you're just going to be eating that dust that whole test. So I can kind of put the corners together in my head and set somebody up for a pass and at least earn it, rather than fly up and run off the track. So.
Yeah. Huh. It's interesting. I remember, walking some of the tests at the ISDE qualifier in Boise. I was there with Wes McKnight, who's been quite a few times as a club member from Texas. And he was like, yeah, see, it's little things like this that you have to remember. You got to remember this and that. And I was like, dude, all I'm going to remember from this is that there's pine needles on the ground. Like, I don't know how you guys walk these tests and, like, remember, all of the little idiosyncrasies about the course. But, that's what separates the men from the boys for sure is those kind of situations.
Yeah, I mean, there's some things you just got to deal with as you come to it. But remembering just kind of the lay of the land and the shape of the course and anything that's just blatantly dangerous, that's all you can really do. I mean, everything else kind of comes to you as you're riding, I think.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about the bike that you were on and bike setup and things like that. Like we said, that's your third ISDE, so you're not a rookie in the sense that you knew kind of how to pack, what to bring, how to prep your bike before going over there, and what to look forward to. I don't know if look forward to is the right way to put it, but what you knew was coming when it came down to working on your bike, the little amount of times you had to do that. So what are some of the things that you've learned throughout the years as you kind of prep for this and prep your bike and things like that?
It's a good question. I guess number one is make sure you got a tool pack that's efficient and it's got everything you need, because you will be working on your bike with your tool pack, like coming into before your final work time of the day. having the tools to get the bike ready to work on so you can do a full service in 10, 15 minutes. That's, the one kind of thing you got to do different, because most of the racing we do in this, America, you don't really use a tool pouch anymore. But the bike I was riding was pretty standard. We rented a 2014 Husaberg TE 300, so it is a 14 model with just minor differences from the bike I've been riding all year. So I knew the setup, brought suspension, handlebars, and a few extra guards and whatnot, like some enduro engineering, shark fin, and just stuff to make sure the bike finished, because the number one thing at 6 days, first and foremost, is to finish, and then second, go as fast as you can.
Right? Yeah, that's funny. I think it's Jeff Fredette. He's the one who's been doing it since like 78. So he's got like 38, I believe. Is that right? 38 ISDEs? And he hasn't DNF'd to one of them.
No, I think 33.
33? Okay. I don't do math well, especially in the condition that I'm in right now. Not only does my voice suck, but I'm all hopped up on all kinds of drugs. So it's best. Woo! That's awesome. So do you think that, what does it take to think about what that guy's done? You've done 3. Now he's done 33 in a row since 78. Do you think that you would have that, inner gumption to just keep going year in and year out?
Well, Jeff Fredette is definitely an animal for having done and completed that many ISDEs. And the coolest thing is every time I see him, especially at an ISDE, is he always says, "Nick, you're just on vacation." Jeff is at 6 days. He's on vacation. He's just riding his motorcycle. I mean, the guy, he's such a machine. He knows what he's got to do, and he just does it, and he enjoys it, and he just goes with the flow, and he makes it work for him. So that's what's awesome about it, is he can just go out there, and it seems like no matter what happens, the guy's, he's going to finish, and he's still competitive. So it's real cool.
Yeah, that's what's crazy. I think as well, it looked like he had cut his hand at work before he even before he had even he had stitches in his hand for like 6 or 7 days, and then just went and twisted the throttle for 6 more days. That's insane that dude's such a badass.
It is.
It sounded like a lot of the team had some stomach bugs or some kind of sickness on day 5. So did you have issues with that? Did you succumb to these issues?
Yeah, I had to deal with that myself, actually. I was at dinner Thursday night with the guys, and I was thinking I didn't quite feel right, but I thought, 4 days of race in a row, maybe I shouldn't feel super, super awesome. But my last pre-race ritual of Friday morning kind of got questionable. So coming into time check 2 or 3 of the day, I asked the guys, where can I go to the bathroom? Something's not right. And I ended up running off with some paper towels and destroying some poor local's garden. Did not feel very good. I think it was like a 24-hour stomach bug or something. It flared up about an hour and a half later on a mountaintop, and I took care of that. Had more paper towels. But
you planned ahead after that.
Yeah, that's rule number 1. You gotta plan ahead at 6 days.
Yeah, that's what I hear. Well, then going into the moto, the C3 class, it seemed like you did pretty well there too. I mean, is that something that you've been practicing on, or did you just keep the throttle back and just have a good time with it?
I have been working on my moto skills, because essentially I really never had any.
Understandable. I feel the same.
I'm a pretty much straight up enduro guy, so I've never really excelled on the moto track. So I spent a lot of time riding with guys out there and on different tracks, and I've got to where I feel somewhat comfortable. And then final moto of the day, C2 was right half an hour before my moto, and Ryan Sipes killed it, Jimmy Jarrett killed it right behind him. And I was like, wow, okay, my team's just tearing up these motos, so it's my turn to deliver, and pressure was on. So I went out there and got a terrible start. It was a 40-man gate, and I was about mid-pack going around the first turn. And there was guys just everywhere. It was a madhouse. And so I pumped up right away and just tried to ride like I knew how, going through the traffic. But I think I ultimately finished like seventh, and actually the guy on the or the club team that beat us was somewhere behind me, and he never made it around, so I made up like 2 seconds on that guy. But the rest of our team made up about a minute and a half on the club team that was ahead of us. So it was pretty cool that we made up that much time just in 2 5-minute motos.
Yeah. And last year, it seemed that the Team USA guys made up a lot of time there as well, both in the junior team and in the trophy team. So what was it like being on a team with Ryan Sipes and Jimmy Jarrett? I mean, it's as you mentioned, Jimmy Jarrett, kind of the veteran, has done this quite a few times, and then Ryan Sipes, complete rookie to the ISDE, not a total rookie to off road, but this format of racing for sure. What did you think about their performances and how they kind of handled the whole situation?
I mean, I thought it was super cool. They're both just really good guys to work with and hang out with, and naturally we spent most of the week beforehand getting ready for the event, walking tests together and just kind of making sure everybody was good to go. Everybody was super prepared. I think the whole team, Team USA was really pumped with how well our motocross guys came into this, like just preparation wise. Like they were serious, they knew the rules, they had the bikes ready. So that was help keep me confident that okay, we've got a good shot at finishing and being competitive. And Jimmy, he's kind of semi-retired now, so it was pretty awesome to have him going good and putting in consistent rides every day, and then to see him right behind Sipes in that final moto was like, this is awesome, this is cool. But then Ryan was real impressive. First day he made, I think, went into a time check early and got 60 seconds added onto the score, a little penalty action, but he made it up at the end of the race because he was winning all the special tests in the club division, or at least in class, and it was like it was cool to be a part of such a competitive team.
Yeah. Well, as we continue to kind of evolve as the team does, and they keep growing, they keep building, and you could tell that Auntie's done a great job really kind of harnessing a lot of people's skills in different ways to get the team performing a lot better throughout the past couple of years. I mean, we did Team USA itself second place this year, first time since 81, 82. That's pretty impressive. Do you think that, what do you foresee in the next couple of years? Is a guy like Ryan Sipes or a guy like yourself going to be moved into those kind of trophy team positions?
Well, like what you were saying, I think Auntie has definitely done a great job of organizing the team and getting things more efficient and just getting the performance of the whole team as a whole higher. The last time I had done a 6 days, he wasn't really involved, and I took a few years off. And then he's been involved now for, I think, 2 years, and it was dramatic, the improvement I saw in how the support crew around us worked, because, you can't do this event without a support crew, and just how everything moved so fluidly, and just, I mean, it was fun working with everybody. And then as far as the direction of the team in the future, I think that the second place that the trophy team got, I mean, it's a big deal. 20 years of, the first time they've done that well, and I think that they showed more potential to do even better. And going into 6 days is so different for American riders. I think that gave us the hunger and the drive to put emphasis on training specifically for 6 days. And there was definitely some talk amongst the team as to just what to do to prepare better for it. And I think that America's got a real good shot at winning this, and if not next year, in the very near future.
Yeah.
I think guys like Ryan do have a shot at being a part of the team and maybe driving us forward, because honestly, 6 days is easy right now. It's all the special tests. Like I said, you could rally a rental car around anything. It's super easy, real fast. It's kind of bad for somebody like myself, who is a pure enduro guy from America that didn't grow up doing moto. I mean, I had to stretch a lot more throttle cable out there than I used to.
Right.
It was fun, but I'm not used to it. So I'm going to have to train specifically for this event if I want a shot at being on the team, or at least improving on what I've done, because it is a totally different kind of animal.
Yeah. Did they I guess kind of in a administration sort of way, the way that Auntie's kind of managing the team, did they say anything about qualifiers for next year, or hey, let us know if you're interested to do it again, or hey, we'll be in touch, for 2014 for going to Argentina?
It's kind of too early for that, really. So no, there was no talk of it. But I think that our American qualifier races are a lot of fun, and like I would wish I could do more of them. Like go to Idaho City, and like the one they have in Ohio is fun, but they have nothing to do with ISDE. They're not remotely close to deciding who would actually be good to go race ISDE.
Right. Do you think that if we in the States had an actual sprint enduro series, that was maybe a little bit more? I wouldn't say it has to be patterned after the way that they do it in Europe, but maybe something that was a little bit more sprint enduro oriented, that it might help us prepare for that more? Or does it seem like we've got it, we're figuring it out, we're just building up to that win?
I think that would help. I mean, the racing series that's big right now in the U.S., like being on the East Coast, is GNCC, which is a 3-hour endurance race around a track that you could take probably any segment of and make a enduro test for ISDE. And then you've got U.S. National Enduro, which is nothing like ISDE or anything they even do in Europe. Those guys think that American Enduro is crazy. So, which is probably why I like it. But
yeah, they took endurance out of enduro a long time ago.
Well, I mean, yeah, they're long days on a motorcycle, but there's nothing challenging about ISDE. I think at the World Enduro Championship, in that series there's some challenging stuff, but just the tight trees and the long trail sections that we actually sprint through are just unlike anything else, and I really enjoy that. But to get riders to go ride at 100% and do full-on sprints for those short tests that they have in Europe, that's going to take something, some special training. And I know like there's a new series, a J-Day Off-Road series. I've never done one, but I imagine that's close to putting riders in the right dimension for 6 days. But even a 30-minute sprint around a course like that is different than one lap around a grass track that takes 5 minutes.
Right.
I think to get riders ready, you got to ride crummy, sketchy tracks as just flat out as fast as you can on crappy tires. And
yeah, that's something too that I don't think that many people take into consideration, is that you guys have to run the FIM tires. And from what everybody said, I've never ridden on them, but you're another rider that just doesn't seem to say positive things about them.
I'll be honest, in certain circumstances, I actually enjoy them. I think they work well, but there's also a lot of times where those short knobbies and the way their spacing works, I mean, they're optimized to work as good as they can for what they are, but they have a lot of handicaps. Like you get into sand or mud, they don't hook up like a regular Dunlop knobby would. So
yeah. Before we get into complete crazy territory and talk about the after party at the ISDE, which I know you must have had the best time ever. What are your 2014 plans, Mr. Fahringer?
Hopefully to do better than I've done this year and maybe make some money. Right now the plan is to stay with Air Group because they've been an awesome supporter and an awesome help this year. But we're looking for a manufacturer. Basically, there's no real race support going on for Husaberg next year, and with Husaberg's going away, I don't know if they're going to be around next year or not. But there's no real race support there, so we've got some interest from other companies. I think obviously Husqvarna is kind of the move from Husaberg, and there's interest there. But we've also got some other manufacturers that are interested. And after having the best year of my career and finishing second in the National Enduro Series, unofficially, but it's all but locked up. For
yeah, the points are pretty much, you just have to finish and you can pretty much say it's yours.
Yeah. So naturally, I'm still going to race to win at that last round. But up till now, it's been a great season, and I'd like to think I've got good opportunity going into next year. So essentially, my plan is to just go a little bigger and go better and keep having fun. Say
Husaberg there is no Husaberg in the States next year. Say that happens. Do you have a bike that you've kind of had your eye on that would be the bike that you would be like 100, that you would feel 110% on for next year, or as of this point you don't really have anything that stands out?
There's really nothing that stands out directly. I mean, there's been a lot of photos leaked out about the new Husky, and I'm sure everybody's probably at least seen it or heard of it. It looks a lot like the current Husaberg, and I'm thinking they basically took where they left off with developing the Husaberg, which is close to a KTM, but it is different and unique in its own ways. And they're putting the Husky name on it, and they continue to change it more. They made it. It looks like they gave a linkage, and who knows what else is under the tank. So, it would be hard to say I wouldn't feel comfortable on that because it's close to the bike I'm riding now.
Right.
But the linkage is a difference, and that puts it in the category of same category as all the other 300 two-strokes out there. Like say a Sherco, a Beta, and along with any Japanese two-stroke, I guess. You don't really have a Yamaha there, but there's basically just the European companies have interest in doing an enduro rider, and we've talked to all of them, and just kind of seeing who works out a good deal and see who's got a good bike.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool. Like it looks like Sherco, they've got their 250 two-stroke coming over. I don't know what the big bore capabilities are right now for that to maybe put a 300 kit on it, but then of course Beta's got their 300. That I think one of those two bike. I don't know much about the Sherco. I'm gonna ride one, do their little demo at the Oklahoma at the National there. I'm gonna ride that, test it out, see what I think about that bike. But that'd be interesting. I think that's kind of cool. You're in a position now, I think, where there are a lot of really good European two-strokes now in the States, and you can get parts, you can get distribution. You don't have a lot of the problems that we had 25 years ago on getting those European parts. So you do have a really good choice, I think, and it would be, I mean, you could almost sell your bike testing to like a magazine, because they could be like, all right, I'm doing all this testing now. Why don't you guys just pay me for a write-up at the end of it? And, we'll do some pictures and stuff too. I think that's a great way to do it. You could make extra money.
I probably could, but
you got to think outside of the box, man.
I've actually, even today, I spoke with some of my sponsors, like, hey, we need to do some testing. Like, I'm qualified to do that, I think. I ride a dirt bike, and I know how to do a little bit of math and how to brake some stuff. That's three qualities right there for testing, right?
I say yes. You only need two of those, and one of them's breaking shit.
Yes, I can break stuff all day long. But no, yeah, it's definitely an exciting time to be in a position that I am, and have there be so many, 300 two-strokes. I mean, obviously that's the bike I like, and there's a lot of options there. I've heard real good things about all of them, and I've only really ridden a couple of them, so.
Yeah, if you will. But it's interesting because we're talking about this, and some of the notes that I had is that Johnny O'Bear just released that he's going to be on beta next year, doing the World EC. So there's a KTM hard and true KTM rider going to be on beta next year. And then we got David Knight, who who's kind of always kind of come back to KTM. He's now going to be on Sherco, and he actually just won his first kind of local enduro cross there in Europe on the 300 four-stroke, which is what he'll be on. So you've got kind of those European brands making moves there in Europe as well. So I think picking up a guy like Nick Fahringer in the States, I think would be a great representation for their brand. I mean, if somebody asked me, sure, I'll give them my advice and that they should do it. So I'll
make sure to put you on my references.
Yeah, put me on your references. I've got tons of good shit to say. And if I talk to them in the next week, they're going to feel bad for me, so they're actually going to listen to what I have to say more. Because you'll be like, what is wrong with this guy? He's like, did he get done smacking 12 packs of cigarettes? Yes, I did. That's what happens. Well, okay, quickly, tell me about the after party and what you guys did before you left Italy, because I heard you guys had some fun.
After party after 6 days is usually pretty fun, because you've been riding dirt bikes for 6 days. You're celebrating getting the heck out of some dirty country, and the beverages go to your head quick out there.
I hear that.
We had a small group of us Americans, us Wellard guys, and a handful of other fun Americans were hanging out with the Australian team.
Perfect. Good choice. I approve.
Team America and Team Australia make a real good team combined, if you will. When you come in, on a bar full of French. Um, we took our territory in the bar and made some noise, and there was some shouting and some anthems being sung, and we had our fun, and then everybody had an early morning to get out of there the next morning. I was staying an extra day, so called it a day while everybody was still alive and not in jail, and then we myself and whoever else survived that night went with us. I think Taylor Robert was there, Ryan Sipes, Zach Osborne. We all went to the beach, and we saw a lot of the beaches looked pretty boring, but we finally went to one that we'd been to earlier in the week that had some cliffs. It was like a big rock island that you had to swim to about 50 yards offshore, and jumped off some cliffs there. It was a pretty good time.
Awesome. Was this kind of like a well-known cliff jumping spot, or are you guys just like, hey, that looks fun, let's go jump off there?
Yeah, no, we were at the beach, and I kind of just looked off in the distance, like, there's a real cool rock formation over there. Let's check that out, because this, a sand beach is pretty boring, especially when there's no chicks laying out. So
this topless beach sucks without chicks.
yeah. So we went straight over the rocks, and we were scoping some stuff out, and I think Thad Duvall went for this gnarly jump, like from 30 foot up, you had to jump 10 foot out over a bunch of jagged rocks into the water, and that was a little too much for me, but we found a little more sane, just sheer cliff wall to jump off of. It was about 30 foot, and it was good to kind of get the blood pumping before the race, and then it just seemed like a good spot to go back to afterwards to loosen up, have some fun. I
agree. Well, cool, man. Well, I'm glad you got to go. Argentina next year. You think there's a chance that you would be suspect to go or would want to go?
Yeah, I'd like to. I'm pretty sure most of the trophy team they've got was going a little stronger than I was this year. So I think to earn a spot on the trophy team, I'm going to have to step my game up between now and then. But being solid for 6 days counts for a lot. So I'd love to go back.
Awesome. Well, I completely agree. I think you did a fantastic job, and I look forward. Like I said, we'll be at the Oklahoma City National Enduro, so come check it out. We're still trying to figure out. We're wanting to do like a live Q&A, kind of talk more specific Saturday evening about 4 o'clock, right before the KTM dinner, to talk with guys like you, Charlie Mullins. A little bit more kind of Q&A for all the enduro guys there. A little bit about bike setup, stuff that you guys do ritualistically. That might be able to help some of them out. And, of course, have a little bit of fun, because that's what I'm all about. Hopefully I don't sound like a raped ape at that point in time, but I don't know how that's gonna sound.
Yeah. Oh, I almost forgot the best part of our after party.
Yeah?
Next day activities. They set up a circus next to our hotel, so me and Zach Osborne went to the circus and showed off his caterpillar eyebrows. And it was the circus was actually pretty pathetic. They had the tiger all doped up and the bear looked drunk, and it was pretty sad. But
sounds like my house. This circus. Oh, it's such an interesting time. Well, cool, dude. I really appreciate you coming on. I think you might be a little jet lagged, but that's okay. It's completely expected. That is a rough 7 hours to readjust, from. So good luck with that. Keep it going. And I guess next race for you is that going to be OKC, the National Enduro?
Yeah. I'll be in Oklahoma racing the last National, and then the 2 weeks later, the final race of the year is going to be the OMA Moose Run in Illinois. So
nice.
That's a fun one.
That's what I've heard. I heard that's a good one. Well, make sure you give Russell Bobbitt a good swat on the ass for us for saying congrats on his little championship, his little number 1 plate, whatever. That guy. Cool?
Yeah, the champ.
Hey, where can people find you if they're on the internet?
If you're Googling, my website's about 2 years out of date, so don't get bummed about that. But I guess I do the Facebook thing and the Instagram thing just to try and keep people up to date. And other than that, look for our air group videos after races, because that's about the coolest thing you see out of me out of the races.
Hey, I like it. I think you look cool.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, dude, no worries. Well, cool, man. Stay strong. We'll see you in 2 weeks, I guess. Yeah, about 2 weeks, and we'll have fun up until then, all right? Thanks again for being on the show, man.
Yeah, yeah. Get better, Brian. We'll talk to you. See you in Oklahoma.
Later, dude. Take it easy.
Thanks.
All right, so Steven kind of switches over here from Mr. Nick Fahringer. It sounds like he had a great time at the ISDE, and so thankful that he was able to come on. We're going to pull up Taylor Robert and chat with him for a little bit, but of course, I have to say thank you very much to Fly Racing for their support of Seat Time. They are a huge supporter of not just Seat Time, but as well the off-road side of our sport. You know, they have bigger riders in the motocross and supercross like Trey Kennard, Andrew Short, but it's guys like Chris Bach, you know, on that race GNCC races, you know, and it used to be the Baylors and stuff, but they're kind of a little too pro now. But they're really, really big supporters of a lot of series and a lot of riders in the off-road world. So can't say thank you to them enough for their support. Go check out their site, flyracing.com. I don't know if you guys noticed in all the videos, there's the U-Sway hydration packs were being worn a lot in Italy. So you can go get one of those off of the Fly Racing website.
Play back. I'm doing
and it is right there in Moto Gear hydration packs, and bam, they got them all right there. Work with all the Lee app races. Be a good time for you. Go check it out. All right, so Mr. Taylor Robert, I've already had to tell everybody else. I sound like I've been deep throating an ape. That's just the way it goes. That's what happens when you get sick. Sometimes you got to do it. So there it is. How are you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing pretty good. Finally getting a little recovery after a long 2 weeks, but yeah, it's going good.
Yeah. Well, we just heard from Mr. Fahringer that you guys found a little bit of cliff jumping and stuff like right after, like before you guys left.
Yeah, we did. We kind of drove around the island the last day, it was kind of nice. Everybody flew out 7 a.m. the day after the race, so we flew out. I actually flew out 10 p.m. the day after the race. I think Nick flew out yesterday, but yeah. So we kind of drove around the island, hit up some beaches, found some rocks to jump off. So it was a good time.
And I asked him. I had to find out. One, was it a nude beach? And two, was this like a sanctioned area to jump off of, or were you guys just like whatever looks good?
Well, there were some nude stuff going on the beach.
You picked a good one. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, definitely nothing good, but there was some stuff that was uncovered.
If you hadn't seen it for 6 days, there was your chance, right?
Yeah. And then, no, there was these rocks, a little ways off the beach, so we swam a couple 100 feet out to these rocks, and then just decided to huck some gainers off them.
You guys are batshit crazy. I love it, man. There's no way. It sounded like Thad Duvall jumped over like a bunch of like sharp edge rocks and stuff too. Maybe that was earlier in the week, but yeah, there's no way, man. I'd be like, ah.
Yeah, and then so we did that, and the first day we were there, which was before the race even started, we saw a big old jellyfish in the water. And then when we went the day after the race, Zach's mechanic actually got stung by a jellyfish.
Oh man.
So good times.
Yeah, he didn't like pass out or anything, did he? Get taken advantage of?
No, you could just see where it stung him. It got all like irritated and red and puffy.
That's probably just an excuse. He was like, "I'm not telling you her name. It was a jellyfish. It was the worst time ever. No, it didn't cost $100."
Yep.
Some people are into that. You just got to let them do what they got to do. So you, Mr. Taylor Robert, came away with your best ISDE finish. You were the top American, 6th overall outright, 5th overall in the E2 class. I would say that this is a pretty good ISDE for you.
Yeah, it went really well. After the race, I was actually pretty bummed because I had 5th all week and 5th overall all week and 4th in class. And Ivan Cervantes and I were really close all week. But going into day 6, all I had to do was basically, stay up and finish near him. And we had a pretty tight battle going. It was Charlie Mullins and then Ivan Cervantes and then Josh Strang and then me. And I was like doing everything I could to try and get around Josh. And while I was doing that, all I really had to do was, play it smart and stay right there. I was trying to get around him, and I just washed the front end out, and Johnny O'Bear was right behind me. And when I washed the front end out, Johnny just ran straight into my back, ran me over, and then ran my bike over, and twisted all my controls around. Like my front brake and throttle assembly were flipped all the way around. My throttle was wide open, so I had to get up, fumble with that for a few seconds, and I ended up losing 5th place to Cervantes by 6 seconds at the week. So I was pretty bummed about that, but it was still a good finish for me. I know there's not that big of a difference between 5th and 6th overall, but now that I got some confidence that I can run with those guys, I really want to train more for that next year, because I didn't really do a lot of training for ISDE this year. I did a few works races and I did the Baja 500, and that's all that I've really ridden my 450 this year. Everything else has been, extreme enduros and endurocross.
Right.
But now that I know I can run with those guys, like Rene, he got 3rd overall, and I beat him the first 2 days, but we were super close. The first day I beat him by 2 seconds. The second day I beat him by 1 second. So I know I have the speed to run with those guys. I just need to, that's what they do all year round, and I want to be able to get over there and try and go for the overall.
Yeah. Well, I want to know, maybe this is something you've already started to think about, maybe it's something you haven't at all, but when you say, you want to start, now that you can run with those guys and you want to try to train a little bit more specifically for next year, what does that mean to you? What is, in the terms of train differently for this, do you already kind of have a game plan on what that takes?
Yeah, you got to ride the crappiest, shittiest tracks you can find.
That seems to be an interesting statement that continuously shows up.
Yeah, no, it's just, they said that Argentina, which is where it's going to be in 2014, is supposed to be rockier and kind of similar deserty terrain. So I have rocks up by my house, and I have places that I could have made tracks that would have been identical to the ones we just rode, but I never do that because it's not fun to ride. I always go, when it rains out, I'm like, I'm gonna go make a new track and make it super flowy and fun and awesome, but mentally I never go, I should go make like the worst possible track I can make.
Yeah, we'll go make something that's not fun.
Yeah. So it's one of those things you got to do. You got to commit to it and go out in a rock field and make a special test. So it's kind of something that's not very fun, but if you want to win, you got to do it.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's understandable. Look, it's cool. I think a lot of people have kind of tried to figure out, how do you train for the ISD, especially with us in the States, because of the fact that the guys in Europe, they race this format all the time. So they kind of already work that format. But for us going over there, so that's why I wanted to ask that specifically. I think it's interesting to know, guys like you who want to keep doing better, guys like Kurt, what you guys practice specific for that. So day 1, you actually won the last test overall. Everybody, you beat every single person out there. How the hell did that feel?
It felt good. This is my 3rd ISDE, and that's my first test I've ever won. And it's hard to win a test. Those guys are really fast.
Yeah.
And I going into that test, I wasn't like, I got this win for sure, but it was the roughest, dustiest, nastiest track we had all week, and I guess I'm pretty good at that stuff. So I was out there and did what I know how to do, and I won it. And then the next day we ran the same course, and I got second in that test by not very much. I think I was like 1 or 2 seconds off the leader's pace. So that was definitely it wasn't my favorite test of the week, but it was definitely the one I did the best in.
Yeah, I think it was Mio that actually got that win, right?
Yeah. I think Mio ended up winning like most of the tests.
Yeah, isn't it insane though that he's an E1 rider, so he's been riding 250Fs and 125s for the past couple years, and his buddy Namboten gets hurt. He's like, I'll ride just 300, sure, whatever.
Yeah,
and he wins. Not only does his team win, but he overalls the entire event. That's insane.
Yeah, he is one bad dude. I mean, he's like super smooth, and the thing that really blows my mind is like on day 4 and 5 we had the same course. So day 4 was all new special tests. And the first test of the day was this completely flat, dry grass track. And, being the other thing that Americans always do is we go out and, like, whenever I make a track, I'll go out and just kind of carve it in. And then once the lines get good, then I'll really start throwing down a moto. Well, he was the first one out. There was absolutely no lines, and he killed it. Him and Milner beat everybody else by like 20 seconds on a completely flat track. So us as Americans, we're always dependent on like a rut or a berm to hold us, and they can go out there and just haul around the flattest, driest, slickest turns.
I think it's the shitty FIM tires.
Yeah.
They know how to make them work. Actually, Ryan Kudla, one of the club members, he was in the chat room right now, and he wanted to know, personally, what did you think of the French riding style?
I really admire those guys. When I first did my ISDE in Mexico, Johnny Aubert kind of did what Mayo did to us here and just killed everybody. I mean, he won like 80% of the tests. There was tests where he was beating the second guy by 15, 20 seconds. And I really kind of watched the way he rode, and it's really cool. They're super smooth, and they just carry so much momentum, which I feel like if anybody's watched me race a works race, that's kind of how I adapted that style, and I kind of race a works race like that. But it's different racing for 2 hours rather than 7 to 10 minutes.
Right.
So they just have really good techniques for carrying momentum, but at the same time, it's not like they're not being aggressive, because they're being super aggressive but super smooth at the same time.
Yeah, it blows my mind. That's one of the things. Brian Story, another one of the club members that was there on the senior, the old dudes club team, if you will. This year, and him and I, whenever we talk about riding and stuff, he's like, dude, it's a totally different train of thought. You have to think smooth is fast, fast is smooth. And he's like, in America, we're so used to like diving into corners and trying to cut, and diving into corners and cut, and over there they just keep the throttle on the whole time and find a way to never cut and to always be carving, which it's like, all right, so obviously they're really good. That's what I take away from everything he tells me.
Yeah, well, a perfect example of it is on day 3, I lost some time because I hit a tree and snapped my front brake line in a test. And then, of course, it was the test with like the steepest hills in it. So I had no front brake going down these hills, and I crashed like 2 more times just trying to like dive into these ruts with no front brake. So I lost some time on day 3. And then day 4, I was like, all right, I need to make up that time. And I was just like pushing super hard, but making little mistakes here and there, and I actually ended up like 11th overall on day 4. So I was like, all right, that didn't work. I need to change it up. I went back out on day 5 and just tried to be as smooth as possible and not blow up any berms, just carry momentum, and it worked out because I went from 11th on day 4 to 6th on day 5, and that definitely helped me out.
Wow. Man, yeah, that's crazy to hear how like even you can take that mental change and apply it to your riding, and it makes such a huge difference.
Yeah.
I noticed too. We were talking with Ryan Kudla last week. He stayed up a little late and talked with us for last week's episode, and was mentioning about how you had some suspension issues, and that he had to kind of help your suspension get there. We saw pictures of you having to put it on in your work period. So talk to us a little bit more about how that all kind of came about.
Yeah, that was like a huge cluster, and there was definitely some major logistics that went into getting my suspension on my bike. So my bike was shipped over there with stock suspension, just because when I had to ship it over there, I hadn't done any suspension testing for ISDE yet, and I didn't think it was going to be a big deal. I was going to just take it with me, because I've taken my suspension with me to Europe before, and I've taken it to South America. I never had an issue with it, but I always fly out of Phoenix too, so I don't know, I guess that airport is different from airport to airport. But so Eric, I'm in the airport, I checked my bags, up sitting in the terminal, everything's good, and I get this phone call from this number I didn't know, and it was Ryan Kudla, and he's like, "Hey Taylor, this is Ryan. I'm trying to check my suspension right now, and they're not going to let it go through. And your suspension's sitting here too. They said they're not going to let it go through either. And if you don't have somebody come pick it up, they're going to ship it to Dallas or Denver or something, and you're going to have to pick it up there." And I was like, all right, well, can you get it for me?
Yeah, none of that sounds good.
Yeah. So he got it from, or his mom, which dropped him off the airport, she picked up the suspension and dropped it off at TBT, and because he lives in LA.
Right.
And then Travis got the suspension to my mechanic, Jeff, at Kawasaki, and we were like, all right, well, we'll just have Kawasaki, like, ship it as quickly as they can to Italy, and we'll hopefully it'll be here by like Friday or Saturday, throw it on the bike, good to go. Well, then, like, Kawasaki called me, and they're like, hey, we're not going to be able to get it there on time because of customs. It's going to sit in customs for 3 to 4 days, so it's not going to work out. So Kawasaki, this is like Wednesday, and my dad was flying out on Friday, so Kawasaki overnighted it to my dad, both sets, and then my dad flew out of Phoenix, and he got it to go through, and he brought it to, Sardinia, Italy, but he didn't get there till Saturday night, and my bike was already in impound. So then first thing Monday morning, we get a 10-minute work period, so I threw my shock on there, and then I hauled ass to the first time check, and I got there with like 15 minutes to spare, and I threw my forks on, and then I was good to go the rest of the week. But it was definitely one heck of a way to start the race.
Dude, how do you, on a 4-stroke, let alone, how do you put take a rear shock off and put one on in 10 minutes?
Oh, you just gotta be super slick,
Just gotta know the way in and out, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, the Kawasaki is actually pretty good as far as being able to take the shock on and off. Obviously, it's way easier with a PDS shock, like on a KTM.
Right.
But no, you gotta take the subframe, all the 4 subframe bolts out, but you don't actually have to remove the air boot, because that's always the biggest pain to deal with, is trying to get the air boot back on. So you actually just take the subframe bolts out and pull the subframe up, and then the shock just comes out. You throw the new one in, and with an impact, you put everything back together. Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. Oh my god. Yeah, when I saw that picture, it was either Shan or Mark's picture, and it had the description of what you were doing. I was just like, that sucks. Like, oh my gosh, what a way to start off 6 days of racing, by going, crap, I hope I get this on and start on time.
Yeah, but it was good, I've never started off with 6 days that strong. I mean, I got 6 overall my first day, and I think I was 6 overall my first test of the week. Usually my first test of the week, I'm like 20th.
Right. Man, so, dude, you're on it. You're kind of, you're knowing what you're doing when you show up, and it shows. So one of the questions that I kind of asked Nick was about how it, once Auntie has kind of taken over the past couple years as team manager for the Team USA at ISDE, you could tell that you guys have really started to progress. You've gotten a lot faster. You've gelled well. Do you legitimately think that there is a chance to win this, and then next year or the year after?
Yeah, I really do. I mean, this year we had Zach, who's new to the team, but we also had Caleb, it was his first time on the junior team, and Ryan Sipes. And so now we have like a good, solid, 8 guys or so that really want to do it and that are really fast. And that's good, because we need 8 or 9 guys that can really go fast and be really consistent, because by the time next October rolls around, you don't know if anybody's going to be hurt or whatnot, so you need to have backups, because if you basically don't have one guy that can't pull his weight, then you're screwed, because you got to have 5 guys that are going fast every day. And if you already got one guy that's out, if somebody wrecks or something like that, then you guys are, you're done, because they take your 5 best scores every day. Right. But if you only have 5 good riders, then it's really hard. So now we got all these guys that are really fast. They really know what they're doing, and they're even hungrier now that we've kind of got a taste of what it's like. So we were all talking after the race, and we're just coming up with brainstorming with different ideas of how we're going to make it work, how we're going to beat these guys. And we even thought up of ideas of, if next year it's supposed to be rocky and deserty, then have all the East Coast guys come out to either my house or Kurt's house, and we'll ride for a week or something and just make some tracks. And then if we have an ISDE where we know there's going to be like slippery grass tracks, then we'll go out to like Thad or Caleb or Zach's house and just train on grass tracks for a week and use crappy tires and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing. It's like, because they're a little bit easier to take on and off because I think the rubber's not as good, but at the same time, then you don't have as much traction. So can you guys get those tires in the States beforehand to practice with, to ride on?
Yeah, we can. We need to commit to it and do it. I think everybody kind of bought one set this year to practice on, but that's almost one of those things like we all need to have a bike set up for ISDE training that we can ride, 3 months before ISDE, and just we all kind of have our own thing, whether Kurt's doing Dakar and Baja, and you got Charlie doing GNCCs and me doing whatever. We all just need to have our bikes set up for ISD and say, whether it's once or twice a week, go out and do sprints on those bikes and those crappy tires. That way when we get to the race, we're pretty prepared like the Europeans are.
Yeah. Interesting. Before, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about some of the endurocross stuff that's been going on. Before we jump into that really quick, I wanted to say thank you very much to Powersport Graphics. For those of you who don't know, yes, it costs money for the fact that we have to pay hosting for the website. We have to pay the server space for the fact that we're broadcasting live video on the internet. All that kind of costs money, and these are all guys that help us out with that. So we would just appreciate if you would support them the way that they support us. So Powersport Graphics, based out of North Carolina. They do a lot of awesome work. Any kind of custom work that you're looking for, maybe stickers for your bike, graphics, decals, all that kinds of stuff. They've done stickers as well for me, just for my truck, of weird one-off things. So they can do a lot more than just moto type stuff. You just got to give them a call or shoot them an email off their site, which is ridepg.com. Best part too is we have a discount code with them. So if you want to save 10% off of anything that you order from those guys, you can use the discount code SEATTIME. And you can call them for that, or you can order it off their website. So we definitely appreciate them for their support. Please go check them out. All right, so endurocross. Now you did really good at some and not as great at others, but you've been on the podium a lot lately this year in the endurocross series. You gold medal and Munich. So how are you feeling right now about endurocross?
Hey, are you still there? You're breaking up real.
Oh no! So I wanted to know kind of, how do you feel about how you've been doing in endurocross so far this year?
Obviously the gold medal was the top. I mean, that was the highlight of my year so far.
Yeah.
I feel like my riding has been really good. I've just had weird stuff happen to me, and like at Ontario, I set the fastest lap of the day qualifier, and then, which was the first time I've done that, and then I got second in the heat right behind Brownie. Brownie and I actually had a really good battle, and it was really close in the heat. But then it doesn't really matter what place you get in the heat now, because we have to do another set of hot laps for the night program. Well, I was on a ripper in my night hot lap and for the event, and I just laid it over in the rock turn, and I ended up last gate pick. So I had to start on the second. Was one of the faster guys, but I had to start on the second row on the outside.
Yeah.
So that was kind of unfortunate. I just started working my way up, but it's really hard nowadays that everybody's going so fast, and everybody, before it was like Chatty's the man, he minimizes the mistakes, but now we got like 3 or 4 guys that can battle for a win, and they're not making as many mistakes as it used to be, and the tracks have gotten a little bit easier and more flowy, but I think they're better for racing. It's just hard to make up time if you're coming from back, because you don't have guys like getting stuck and big pileups and stuff like that. But I've had weird stuff happen to me like that, you know. And Barcelona, I got cleaned out on the start, and my bike actually shot out from underneath me because somebody hit me from behind. But you know, I'm actually pretty pleased with the way it's going. I'm sitting third in the points right now, and I know I can get another win. I just need to get out front right away and do my thing, which is what I did in Germany. You know, I got a second place start, and then I passed Brownie at the end of the first lap and just rode my own race. So I'd really like to just get out front and do what I know how to do.
Put in 10
really,
good laps.
Yeah, exactly. It's just really hard to you know, do that in endurocross because the races are so short and intense that it's really easy to make mistakes.
Right. So at Ontario, watching you guys jump the entire water pit, that was ridiculous. Who did that first? Was it you, Brownie, or Taddy?
So I guess Brownie did it like the lap before I did it, but I didn't know he did it. I thought I was the first one to do it because when Brownie and I were practicing, he was on the opposite side of the track of me. So he did it, and then I did it, and after practice, they're like, "Oh yeah, you and Brownie were the only ones to do that." So then second practice, Taddy goes out and just launches the thing and like pretty much almost lands in the next lane over.
Almost like he totally flat bottomed it.
Yeah, and he broke his triple clamps because he launched it so far.
Oh my gosh!
So I really don't think he wanted to do it, and I don't think he would have done it if Brownie and I didn't do it. But yeah, us three were the only three guys to do it, and it was really sketchy because it was cool though because it was one of those things like if the corner would have been extended another 10 feet, then everybody would have been doing it because the actual distance, jumping that distance wasn't hard. But it was one of the most technical landings I've ever done because it had a log on top, so you couldn't case it.
Yeah. And
it was super steep and short and wet immediately into a turn. So it was just a really technical jump. But it's cool now that they're throwing in stuff like that, and the matrix, we're able to jump the whole matrix, and it's kind of one of those things that, you know, can really separate the top riders and the guys that really want to just go for it from the guys that, you know, don't, because it takes some balls to do stuff like that.
I would agree. I know that I would not be doing that. I'll drink you any night at the bar, but I will never try to jump that ever, ever. Well, speaking of the separation and stuff like that, do you think that we're gonna see more tracks with the ability to have situations like that where guys could jump an entire section, or do you think they're gonna wind up saying, "Oop, that was a mistake," and we're gonna kind of slow everybody back down?
You know, it's hard to read the endurocross guys because I know, like, Shane, the guy that builds the tracks, I'm pretty close with him, and he's cool. I know he wants to see us do stuff like that, but then you got the actual guys that put on the endurocross, and they're the ones in control. And I know they didn't like us jumping the matrix because there was dirt up to the first log, which was kind of helping out the amateurs.
Uh-huh.
And then we were jumping it really easy, and they took all the dirt out from the first log, and we were still jumping the whole thing. And I was talking to them, and they're like, "Well, we can't really do anything about it." And but I don't think they wanted us to jump the whole thing. And same with the water, because I actually asked them before we went out for practice. I was like, "Hey, are you guys going to take any dirt out from the front side of the water pit?" And they're like, "No, why?" I was like, "Well, because we're going to jump that." And he's like, "No, you guys aren't. You guys aren't going to do that." I was like, "Watch me. I'll do it in the first practice." And I did it in the first practice. And he was like, "All right." I mean, I think they don't want to see people get hurt, but I think stuff like that is really good for the fans. So I hope they keep putting stuff like that in.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think you're kind of right. You know, I think that's why like a big part of Supercross, motocross is so cool when you get in those indoors and you see the guys jumping those huge jumps and stuff. I know I'm just like a kid in the candy store, just all giddy watching those guys jump. But watching that on the webcast of you guys doing that was just insane. Just jaw on the ground. And then Taddy actually did case it. And of course, Alan Stillwell had a big picture of it because Taddy runs the his Pro Guard for the linkage, and you could see right where that log. I mean, it just landed right on it, and that probably is actually what did like save him from just like totally going over,
right?
Because he cased the ever living shit out of that thing.
Yeah, I was up in the stands during his heat and I watched it, and I was surprised he didn't wreck, but man, that couldn't have felt good.
No, and it was funny too because he did not jump it the rest of that heat. Like that was it. He was like, okay, and I think like he jumped it like the first 2 laps of the main, and then didn't really until I think maybe Brown started to catch back up or something like that. That he's like, okay, I got to jump it again.
Yeah.
So. Ooh. Okay. Here's a good one. We got somebody in the chat room said they read your article in Dirt Bike. What about adding some splatter type jumps to the race? He's like, those don't look like they would feel that good.
The splatter is something that's really cool. I think they should do stuff that would be like an option. Like, I don't know exactly how they would make it. Maybe like a small log into a massive log that was flat on top or something. That you could have the option of maybe splattering up onto the big log.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be awesome. But they'd have to get pretty creative with it, because if it was like a do or die thing, like either you have to splatter it or you're not going to get over it, they're not going to do it because the women and amateurs aren't going to be able to get over it.
Yeah, well, it could be something kind of like the Joker lane, like we saw at the Monster Energy Cup and stuff like that. Maybe like it's an A only line.
Right.
You don't have to take it. There is an alternate, but they could maybe have stuff like that that's like super gnar.
I think
to add in some wicked technical sections.
I think it'd be cool to do like a split lane. Sometimes they've done that in Supercross where you have like, an option where you go inside and it's like a roller into, a rhythm section, or you go outside, there's a bigger lip. I think it'd be cool if they did something like that.
Yeah, I think you're right. I like it. Well, dude, okay, we always like to tell people where everybody can get more information about the riders that we have on the show. So where's all the social media? Where can people find you at on the internets?
On the interwebs, you can find me at trobert33.com. But what I use mostly is, I'd have to say Instagram, which is Taylor_Robert33. And my Twitter is the same thing. So
keep it pretty legit there, don't you? Easy to remember.
Yeah, pretty standard, But I like to post. I like to post pictures of cool stuff. So, we got a pretty good compound in the backyard. If we build something cool and we try it, and pretty much if we make it or we don't make it, I'll probably post a picture of it.
Well, the picture you posted from your Moto 5. That huge drop, where was that at?
That was in southern Utah. That was in Hurricane, Utah. And, that movie will actually be coming out. I think it's supposed to come out, like, at the end of the month. I think it's supposed to be out by November 1st.
Yeah.
So I'd check that out because Cody Webb, Kyle Redmond, and myself definitely did some insane free riding and probably stuff that most people have never seen done on dirt bikes before.
Oh, you went there. You said that.
Yeah.
Before, ever, never done. Oh my gosh, I'm excited. Yeah, that's going to be cool. Steven and I are very much looking forward to that coming out. We're still trying to finagle our way into making it to the Las Vegas Enduro Cross to get out there and do some video work. So we'll see. I don't know. Maybe. We may just keep getting shut down by the man. I don't really know how that's going to work out, but whatever. We may. Well, cool, man. Well, we appreciate you being on the show. I have to say, I wanted to ask you about some of the things. I mentioned to Fahringer as well, is that Johnny O'Bear just signed with Beta. So he's going to be riding Betas over in Europe instead of KTMs. David Knight is has signed with Sherco, and he's riding Shercos now. He's on the 300 4-stroke. Now, those are European riders. That kind of makes sense. But I have a feeling we're going to see a little bit more of those brands picking up, more riders in the States. Maybe not just because of the fact that they have 2-strokes, but they have really, really good 2-strokes, and they're going to have more and more of a presence over here. Do you think, as a rider who rides for a team that doesn't have a 2-stroke, is there any talk behind the scenes to realize that it may have been too early to drop off, making 2-strokes completely?
Not there hasn't been any talk to me about it, but I think if a Japanese company made a 300 two-stroke, they'd sell all of them.
Yeah, I kind of agree. And what, in your mind, you've been riding Japanese bikes for a long, long time. What do you think if they were to make a 300?
There?
Yeah. What do you think would make their 300 be so different from, say, like a European 300?
Hey, you're breaking up real bad.
Oh my gosh. Any better? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good.
Nice. So what do you think would be the biggest difference between a Japanese 300 and, say, like a European 300 two-stroke?
I think like an aluminum bilateral frame would be good. The suspension is a little bit different as far as, like, now KTM's have linkage, but that's why Allen came out with the linkage guard, because it hangs down so much more than a Japanese bike. A Kawasaki and a Honda linkage is so much more tucked up than a KTM linkage. So just stuff like that. I think they could make a really cool, enduro, off-road, street legal two-stroke type deal, and I think people would be all over it.
Right. Or you could just buy a KDX 200 frame and put a 500cc two-stroke engine in it. Bam.
Yeah.
There you go.
Do it.
Those things are so sick, those KX 500 AFs.
Yeah.
There's a guy here in Texas who's actually built 2 of them recently, and I want to ride one bad, like in an open field with no trees. I don't want to have to be real off-roady. I just want to go fast.
Yeah, I want to build a big bore KX 250 with a wide ratio transmission and put it in a KX 250F frame. I think that'd be sick.
I agree. I've been on the Euro bikes for a while now. I'm totally happy with it. I love my KTM, but I do think that the Japanese are missing out. Sure, Yamaha's still making bikes, but they're still making the same bike they made 10, 12 years ago, with bold new graphics. I think if they put a little bit more research in there, I don't know. People keep saying it's the economy, and I just keep saying, you know what? It is what it is. You can either decide to blame the economy, or you can decide to make changes and figure it out. And I think a lot of people are still using that as a pretty poor excuse. So we're never going to evolve if we don't innovate, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That sounded smart.
Whoa, weird.
You guys watch out here. I think we should end the show before shit gets crazy. Well, we have a new sponsor on the show, Taylor.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we do. It's Fast Company, who makes the Flex bars. Have you ever had a chance to ride with Flex bars?
Yeah. In 2010, I ran the Flex bars when I was on the Valley Yamaha team.
Yeah.
But I haven't had the chance to run them since then because Kawasaki is tied in so well.
Yeah, you guys have a set kind of group of sponsors.
Yeah.
Or of suppliers, if you will.
Which, I mean, on one hand, it's really cool. Like, when you get on the team, you don't have to worry about anything. Like, everything on the bike is taken care of. But on the opposite side of that, like, I can't get any personal sponsor for anything on the bike. So it's kind of is what it is.
That's very tough. Well, one of the things that I think is super cool is that I was definitely the person who had the ignorant answer 3 years ago when I first heard about flex bars. It's like, flex bars? I don't want my bars to flex. Like, that was just my immediate reaction to somebody telling me about these bars. And now that I've had a chance to ride them and test on them a little bit, that was a completely ignorant answer, and I didn't give it a chance. And coming back from a shoulder surgery and having then been able to ride Brian's bike at Big Sky, and then this past weekend on my KTM, been able to really dial them in and setting them up even more so for myself, I don't want to ride without them. It's so interesting how it helps soak up a lot of the bumps and kind of the stuff that we come across in the off-road world that can kind of throw you off and can kind of really hurt your game, if you will. And it is so nice. My shoulder didn't hurt at all after I got done riding, any more so than it would normally. Especially having been on the bike twice, in the past 6 months. So super cool. I think I'll be looking forward to you, Taylor. Getting on a bike where you can run them again. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I know that you have a job and it's your professional duty to be faithful, and we understand that. But one of the other things I thought was really neat is they have a spoke torque wrench so that you can actually tighten your spokes to a certain, you could even have an adjustable one to a certain torque setting if that's what you so desire. And I know that I suck at, clinking. It's not like I'm tuning a drum where I'm trying to, use a key to tune a drum and know how loud it needs to be and match pitches and stuff when I tap on spokes. I'm not a musician. I'm not magical like that. This thing makes it so easy for me to tighten all these spokes to the right tension, if you will, to sound scientific. So those are definitely things I think you guys should go check out at fastco.com. Super, super excited to have them on board. The more I get a chance to talk with them, the more I'm going to learn about the product, the more information I'm going to get to you guys. Hopefully even as well, have some t-shirts, other fun stuff for you guys to have competitions and ways to win. I think that'll be fun. Right? Yes. Everybody likes that. You, what is Focus, Taylor? What is clothing company Focus that you're so involved with?
Yeah, they're just they're a company from Southern California. They're kind of just like an action sports lifestyle clothing company. So they're not just a moto company, but they have a bunch of surf athletes, skate athletes, BMX athletes, and they're just a couple guys out of Southern California that really just, their goal is kind of like be like a Volcom type Quicksilver deal.
Right.
They're really cool. They, fortunately for me, they're super into moto because they both ride.
Right.
They support all kinds of different sports, and they're actually really cool. They help out a lot, and they're always coming out with new stuff, so it's fun.
Awesome. Well, what was it I was gonna say? Focus t-shirts, ISDE t-shirts. Do you have any more? If people wanted to go to your website and pick those up.
I do. They actually helped me design and make my ISD t-shirts, and I kind of went with like a non-conventional ISD t-shirt, but it's what I was using for my fundraiser, and you can check them out on my website at trobert33.com.
Uh-oh, apparently I'm getting called out by somebody for not sending them stuff. I'll have to figure that out. Obviously, it's been kind of crazy with work and all that stuff. Double D, we're going to get you hooked up. I don't know if I can send you a pair of bars, because that sounds like a lot of money. But I can get you one of the nuts off of the bars, and you can slowly start to build up your own pair of flex bars. Well, cool, dude. Well, you've got, is it Sacramento coming up this weekend? No, Denver, right, for Endurocross?
Yeah, actually, starting in Ontario, I'm racing nonstop until Vegas. So I got Denver this weekend. Monday, I fly to Ecuador for an extreme enduro, and then I get back from that. I have Everett Endurocross, and then immediately after that, I go down to Mexico, pre-run for the Baja 1000, come back, race Boise, go back down to Mexico, race the Baja 1000, come back, and then race Vegas Endurocross.
And then take a nap?
Yeah, I'll probably just take like a 30-minute nap.
Yeah, I need a little bit of rest, guys. Just a skosh. Just a little bit. Well, man, you got your plate full. Oh, yeah, I was going to let you go, but I have to ask about this because this is hilarious. Ryan Kudla says that I had to ask you about how crazy it is selling your pants and stuff like after the racing at the ISDE. Was it just, tell us about that.
After the race, everybody kind of does it. You take all your used tires, mooses, gear, anything you don't want to take back with you, you sell it, and like the people are all over it. I mean, it's like a garage sale out there, and you got people bidding on stuff. I had to, at first it's kind of slow, and then the people kind of start getting into it, and I had one rear moose and tire left, and I had these two guys like bidding over it. So it's kind of a little crazy thing, but you got to watch your stuff too, because if you look away, they'll just walk off with it.
They're gonna sneak over there and jack your stuff.
Yeah,
that's no fun.
And then you got guys like asking for crazy stuff. I don't know how many guys I had asked me if they could either have my helmet or buy my helmet, and just stuff like that. So
yeah, those ISDE helmets, man, those are something you can't ever part with. That's like come home and bam, put it on a shelf somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. I I got a pretty good wall at my dad's house of just all my old helmets from when I was on 85s, pretty much. I think I have 1 or 2 helmets when I was on 65, but yeah, pretty much from when I was on 85, I have all my helmets, and the ISDE ones are definitely the top prize possessors.
I bet. Maybe one day I'll be able to touch somebody else's. I'll probably never be able to earn my own. It feels like being fast is in the past. that was clever too. I like that. That was fun. All right. Well, before I totally lose everything and fall asleep here from all the drugs I've been on, I appreciate everybody that's been in the chat room, everybody that's been watching live. It's been awesome. Episode 102. So this is Seat Time. SeatTime.co is the website where you can find this. We archive all of the sites there. Of course, we're on Facebook, facebook.com/SeatTime. You find us there. We just post kind of daily things throughout the day, shenanigans, stuff like that, fun videos for you to watch. Twitter.com is at SeatTime_CO is our Twitter handle. We're on Instagram, so you can find us there. You just search for Seat Time as well. YouTube, you can just search for Seat Time there. Or it's SeatTimeCO is our user. So all kinds of fun places out there if you guys want to find us. And it's been a great time, Mr. Taylor Robert. I really appreciate you putting on, or being on, not putting out. But whichever way you want to look at it.
I always put out for you, Brian.
Hey, I know it's like, hey Taylor, you want to be on? You're like, why? Yes, I do. It's pretty much. It's easy. I like it. It works out well. As always, you're a fantastic guest. You're fun. You're easy, and you've always got great information. So I appreciate you taking the time, man.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it, and I always enjoy being on here. So let me know whenever you want to talk about cool stuff.
Like your life?
Yeah. Or yours.
Hey.
Or your mustache.
Oh, it has its own. The mustache show is going to start next, actually. That's why we're already late. We got to start the mustache show. It starts after this one. That's the one I don't do with clothes on, though. It's all about the stash. Well, cool. Episode 102 is in the books. Remember, always enjoy a pint full of awesome. Have fun out there, kids, and we'll see you next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Peace.
Right on.